Hi everyone, it's Mark again from Balanced Lifestyle. I'm going to talk to you today around my 5 top tips for dealing with intermittent fasting. So that is dealing with the fasting period, dealing with intermittent fasting in your lifestyle. As you'll know from my previous video, if you watched it, the introduction to my personal fasting journey, I will only ever look to integrate new measures and tools and techniques for my lifestyle and health that I feel are sustainable long term, so things that I could feasibly keep up forever. I'm not interested in crash dieting or anything like that. So these 5 tips are focused around helping you deal with that, with fasting in general, and in particular that period without food, which is something that'll be new to most people who take on intermittent fasting. You'll know by now that I do 16/8 intermittent fasting. And I fast between 10 p.m. and 2 p.m. the following day. So that's the 16-hour week. Actually, it's roughly that. Sometimes I stop before 10, rarely, but sometimes I'll start before 2. So sometimes it's a little bit longer. But the bulk of the 16 hours is sleep, essentially. So for 8 hours at least of the 16, I'm asleep. And then the rest of the time I've got to get through, which is the mornings. We're around about 8 hours. So what are the 5 things that have helped me come to terms with intermittent fasting and get through that 8 hours essentially that you're awake and aware that you're fasting? Well, the first thing is limit coffee. That's that seems to be everyone's go-to solution for fasting, because it's got 0 calories, black coffee. People drink lots and lots of it. I use black coffee before the gym, to keep myself perked up, and I do have a black coffee with first thing when I wake up. But other than that, I try and avoid black coffee. Your body will get used to fasting. That's my biggest piece of advice. With time, it will get used to not requiring food in the mornings, and the feeling of hunger will go. So I would just be careful with coffee, because ultimately you're just going to put yourself into a position where you're going to totally and utterly depend on it, and that's not really great for you either. So it's good. It's a useful tool, black coffee. As I say, I'll have a cup in the morning first thing when I wake up, and I will have another one before training. But other than that, I try and avoid black coffee and stick to other ways of feeling satiated and lasting up until that to when you break fast. Next is try and come to terms with the fact that just because your body's telling you that you're hungry, you don't necessarily need food. The biggest thing with intermittent fasting is that you're completely changing the way that you're eating. Pretty much for everyone who will try intermittent fasting, it'll have been part of the breakfast, lunch and dinner, 3 meals a day. You're full and fed all day, all the time you're awake. So it's difficult to retrain your body to not require the food for a large bulk of your morning, and it will tell you, your brain, you'll feel hungry, your belly will feel empty, and it's just coming to terms with the fact that just because your body's saying that, you're not starving. You don't actually need the food when it's telling you need the food. So it's a little bit more of a challenge for you to come to terms with that, and once you do, you'll find that pushing past the feelings of hunger, you can just ignore, or you can turn to other sort of tools and other things to help you get through. But yeah, it's a big thing that you need to sort of overcome a barrier, but once you do, you'll find that the fasting period's a lot more comfortable. Next is play around with water. So obviously water is completely free of calories. You can use sparkling water. It's quite nice. That can make you feel full, although you can get sickening if you're drinking tons and tons and tons of it. Personally, I like to use infused waters. So I like cucumber water. It's pretty much my go-to water. You can use other stuff and experiment around with lemon. It's got detox qualities that anyway, although that's not why I'm using it. It's just it's got a little bit of flavour in there, and it's still almost at that 0 calorie content. But yeah, different waters are a great way of sort of getting you through. It's because it's summer now where we are. I use obviously iced water and keep it really nice and cool and refreshing, and that's pretty nice. And if you've got that 8 hours when I'm sitting at my desk at work anyway, a pint of iced cucumber water can last an hour for me, and that's an easy way just to knock an hour off that fast. This is the biggest one for me. So the biggest challenge I found was trying to change your mindset. So you're pushing out everything that you used to believe about food and how you eat, and you're bringing in something completely new. So you need to be strong, mentally strong. You need to completely change how you think around food. And I genuinely believe the challenge of making a success of intermittent fasting isn't physical, it's a mental. It's so easy once you feel hungry just to turn to food. But you really having courage and believing in yourself and what you're trying. That's what will get you through. Ultimately, it's a discipline, and you need to be disciplined with it. But once you crack it, and I feel I have, you genuinely don't have any cravings during my fasting period. I'm more I crave the success of making it work more than I crave food during a fast, and I think that tells you something. So yeah, try and change your mindset around food. That's the biggest sort of challenge. If you overcome that one, you'll have it cracked. Which brings us nicely onto the last one. Try not to listen to anybody. If you try intermittent fasting, just back yourself. If you believe that it's something that you want to try it, give it the time to work. But people will try and tell you that it's the wrong thing to do. In fact, pretty much everybody, they'll say it's dangerous, it's not healthy, it's this, it's that, it's the other. If you decide that it's something that you want to try, back yourself, and don't listen to them. Don't let them knock you off course. I think it's a fantastic tool. I know it's not right for everybody, and I would never tell somebody that they need to do it because of XYZ reason. If you're thinking about doing it, I think it's fantastic, and you'll find lots and lots of support out there to do it. But you'll also find a lot of people in your closer circles, more socially, will completely throw it out as a technique and a tool. So just keep a lookout for that and try and just back yourself, as I say. And that's another big one. If you get those, if you manage to hit all 5 of those, I think you've got a really good starting point. Everybody finds different little ways and techniques to make it easier. These are the things that I found make it a little bit easier for me. So that's the end of today's video, nice and short, hopefully, again, around the tips and techniques that I've got for intermittent fasting. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. If you've liked the video, please hit like and subscribe. I'm trying to bring as much useful content around intermittent fasting, but just real life experiences as possible for you. And yeah, I will hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot, bye.